What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today with my next NFL draft scouting report, and today will be the final one. So yesterday did Joey Bosa, and today we'll be doing Laquon Treadwell. So getting into some of the background information about Laquon Treadwell, he is a 6'2", 230-pound, I believe senior, maybe junior wide receiver. Actually, a junior wide receiver out of the University of Mississippi. And experienced a pretty tragic injury through his sophomore year when he was tackled on the 1-yard line against Auburn. Broke his leg. Actually, more than that, it was a pretty catastrophic injury. But anyway, getting to some of his stats from last year: 82 receptions for 1,153 yards and 11 touchdowns. He put up some pretty monster numbers on his way to an All-American season. So get into some of his strengths, and the first one is he is strong and physical. So at 6'2", 230 pounds, he's packed on a little bit of weight since I believe the last weigh-in for ESPN was the beginning of his sophomore year. At least that's what it looks like. So I believe he rehabbed very well after his injury. Probably didn't want anything like that to happen ever again. One of his greatest strengths, using that lightly, is his strength. He is, like I said, he's extremely strong from his arms to his lower body to his hands, and a lot of this will translate into the rest of his strengths on this list. Now, with an average of 14.1 yards per reception this year, he was honestly more of I wouldn't say a deep threat, but was able to get corner routes and out routes, just some mid-level routes, better than a lot of people anticipate him when you see some of his measurables and athleticism. So get into his second strength, and that's he's got great hands and he's a good possession receiver. Now, his vertical isn't great, but he knows how to get to the ball. He's got a good nose for the ball overall, and like I said, he's got strong hands, he's got decent size, and he runs his routes pretty cleanly. Now, again, he doesn't have the best vertical in the world at a 33-inch vertical. Yeah. So that's obviously not something that is great to have for a possession wide receiver on the outside that likes to bring down a lot of balls as being a primary wide receiver. But again, his nose for the football, his physical ability, his strength, just all of it combined means that he can get to a lot of balls that you wouldn't expect someone with his athletic level to be able to get to. In the NFL, I think this is a guy that will translate to being a number one receiver almost immediately if he ends up going in the top 15. If not, then I think he plugs in well as number 2, but still a possession receiver for whoever drafts him. So third strength is he's a good blocker. Not much to say. He's just a good run blocker. Like I said, the physical ability, his strength helps him out there. He's a guy that studies film extremely well from what I've seen. Every scouting report, every interview I've seen, almost all of them mention his good character, his work ethic, and just his overall, willingness to get better and stronger. Now, that pretty much will translate to him being a good all-around receiver, again, barring the speed and just overall athleticism like I've been mentioning. So, for strength just kind of builds off the rest of them. He wins 50-50 jump balls and he gets yards after the catch. Averaging 14.1 yards per catch, that means that he is able to get off a few tackles. Again, he's strong. He knows how to run his routes. He's smarter than a lot of the corners that cover him in college football, and he played well against good competition. I mean, look through some of his individual game stats from last year. Look at some of the better teams they played against. Alabama, 80 yards and a touchdown. Texas A&M, 102 yards and 1 touchdown. Auburn, 114 yards and 1 touchdown. Arkansas, 132 yards and a touchdown. And against Oklahoma State in the Sugar Bowl, 71 yards, 3 touchdowns. All of big games that Auburn was able to win. Ole Miss was able to win, barring the Arkansas game. But, man, yeah, he had a pretty good year. Obviously, putting up over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns is impressive. So, like I said, the yards after the catch ability, it might not translate extremely well to the NFL. That's one that's hard to project just because, like I said, the athleticism difference between college corners and NFL corners it might hurt him a little bit. So, get into some of his weaknesses. First one is injury concerns. I mentioned that earlier. He had that pretty catastrophic leg injury last year against Auburn. Tackled on the 1 yard line, ended up fumbling in a game that Ole Miss actually ended up losing when they could have won. But it was just kind of a heartbreaking injury when you watch it. Knocked him out for the entire season in 2014, and he was able to come back even stronger, which is a good sign. But a serious leg injury like that is always a red flag. I don't really think there's been any other big injuries for him in college, though I followed Treadwell pretty closely the last 2-3 years. Second weakness is his separation. I mentioned this. His overall speed's not really where it needs to, or where you would like it to be as a wide receiver. He runs about a lower 4.5, maybe a 4.6 40, and that'll lead to separation problems because some of his cuts and his routes aren't that crisp. Some of the really, really, really tight in and out routes, or just in routes and out routes. That's what I was going for. The cutting's not as quick as you would like it to be. Maybe the agility might be something that you can work on, the quick feet, but I don't know if the speed's ever really going to be something that fixes itself. That's something that whatever team he's drafted by is just going to kind of have to deal with. And the third one is a combination of all of them, which just goes to speed and agility. Like I said, you can see the agility problems in a lot of the routes that he runs. He does run good routes. He knows what to do to get past a cornerback. His football IQ is high, but like I said, the speed is definitely not there, and neither is the agility. Now, again, that will make him struggle to separate from NFL cornerbacks, which is kind of a big knock against him. But he is also not a great deep threat unless he's just able to get, like I said, just get the yards after catch in one-on-one coverage on the outside and is able to beat the corner after the catch. Now, that will happen. That's, again, extremely valuable in the NFL, but the fact that he can't just run right by him is a little bit concerning. And then also he's not going to be a guy that gets back to the ball extremely quickly. He's not going to get those. He's got quick hands and he's got strong arms, but sometimes the breaks aren't really there, again, when he has to come back to the ball. All right, so that pretty much does it for my strengths and weaknesses for Treadwell. So get into where I think he projects as an NFL wide receiver. So my last mock draft, I think I had him going fifth. That might have been my last or two mock drafts ago. I had him going 15 to the Rams, but a lot has changed since then. I have not done a mock draft since the Rams traded up to 1 and the Eagles traded up to 2 after that. Now, bring up the draft order right now because I'm honestly not completely sure on it anymore. I think he is right now still the best wide receiver in this draft. I've kept a lot of my faith in Treadwell. People are just, I get it, it's a big thing, but people just can't look past the whole speed thing. And it was there in college. Like, he wasn't the fastest receiver at all in college, but he's one of the most dominant. And again, I still think he's the best possession receiver in this draft. I don't know if there's really that guy that will give you that perfect combination of speed and size and possession abilities. Like, you go with either the Michael Thomas, Laquon Treadwell type, or I think you go with the Corey Coleman, Will Fuller type. I don't know if there's really anything in between. But I don't really see Treadwell going in the top. I think the earliest he will go is to the Lions at 16, but I don't think the Lions they need too much of a wide receiver anymore after signing Marvin Jones. I think the combination of Marvin Jones and Golden Tate will at least keep him satisfied throughout the first round. When you look after that, there are a few teams. I think the Titans are a possibility at 15. I don't think it's a huge possibility because I think they're probably going to end up taking an offensive lineman, either Ronnie Stanley or Jack Conklin. But also, I think when you move down a little bit, there's a lot of teams in the 20s that will be looking to pick up a guy like Treadwell. The Bengals being one, the Seahawks being another, and even going down the list. I I hope not, because I really do like Treadwell, but I could end up seeing him drop to the second round. His draft stock has fallen pretty far. But I'm not talking about where I see his draft stock. His rookie year, I think you're looking at probably a 40 to 50 reception type year. Again, I think this guy still falls as a number one wide receiver for whatever team he goes to. If not, then he's still going to be a possession receiver that gets a lot of looks. I think he's extremely NFL ready. You can plug him and play him as soon as you draft him, which I think is another valuable quality. Now, actually, the one I'm looking at right now, WalterFootball.com, has him going at 30 to the Carolina Panthers, which is another intriguing opportunity. That's a place that he would go and probably be the number one or the number two, depending on how Kelvin Benjamin comes along. So that pretty much does it. Like I said, I'm done with the NFL draft scouting reports now. Tomorrow, I will be doing my three-round NFL mock draft, which is more than I've done on any of my previous 4 mock drafts. And with the NFL draft coming up Thursday, all this stuff starting to wrap up. I've done a lot of coverage for the NFL draft and college football and the NFL this year, so it'll be cool to see it all culminate and finally come together and see what happens. So that's pretty much it. So just get into some of his background information, all that stuff. So he is a 6'5", 275-pound, I believe, junior out of Ohio State, defensive end. So some of his stats from last year, I believe he missed the first game, and honestly, by